What's good, everybody? Peace to y'all in the mighty name of Jesus. We here to read through Joshua chapter 5 through 8. This is gonna start getting into the conquest of Canaan. Now, Joshua in the land of Israel, in the nation of Israel, they've just come into the land of Canaan. He already sent the spies out to go to Jericho. They spied out Jericho. Now they about to come to Jericho. So before we get into anything, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to anyone that's watching the live stream and whoever's watching, the future YouTube video or the future Twitch. So peace to y'all in the future, Lord willing. So without further ado, we're gonna get into this Joshua chapter 5. You know, I ain't really the best at intros and stuff like that. So, you know, what you see is what you get. So, finna get this lo-fi music. Hey, oh, okay. Hey, hey, finna get into the fifth chapter. Damn, I already funked the pad. Ooh, it's kind of ride though. Hey, it's kind of smooth. Hey, finna get into the fifth chapter of Joshua. Hey, we got the book following Yahshua, or Jesus, whatever name you want to say. Hey, but the Most High is the only one we praise. Oh, yeah, he stay up in the sky. Oh, yeah, gave us gifts so then we fly. Oh, yeah, hold up, trying to think of something. Oh, hey, he makes something out of nothing. Ooh, look how he did with the bread and the fishes. Ooh, yeah, I'm getting these riches, ooh, hey, and it ain't no gold or silver, yeah, but I got my dinner, ooh, cause that dinner's a blessing every day that we wake up, I ain't stressing, cause, oh, let me stop before, let me stop, bro. Alright, so, hold on, let me turn this music down. I feel like it's probably gonna overpower the mic. All right, so getting into this Joshua chapter 5, right? Hold on, let me turn my mic up a little bit. All right, bet. Let's get to it. Getting into this Joshua chapter 5, and we're going to start this off at verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel until they were passed over, that their heart melted, neither was their spirit in them anymore because of the children of Israel." So you got the kings of the Amorites and pretty much everyone who's inhabiting the land of Canaan, right? They done heard that the Lord done split the Red Sea for these people. Like just imagine you in a city and like I'm in Atlanta right now, and I'm just imagining somebody coming from, let's say let's say I don't know, Decatur or something like that. Like, hey, don't you know that them folks in Decatur, they don't split the whole sea? Yeah, so now we gonna be afraid of them folks in Decatur. Well, that's how these kings of the Amorites and the kings of the Canaanites were, because they heard that the Lord dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel. So, oh, I said the Red Sea. I'm thinking of they talking about the River of Jordan, but the same thing though, because I mean Moses and them, they split the Red Sea, but then you got Joshua, Moses' understudy, so to speak. He out here split the River Jordan, with the help of the Lord. But like anyone hearing that, they gonna be shook. They gonna be scared. Like, I've never heard of anybody that just split a river, split a sea. I ain't never heard of that, right? So like these kings, they were scared of Israel. It says that their heart melted, neither was their spirit in them anymore. because of the children of Israel. At that time, the Lord said unto Joshua, make these sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time. So now Joshua got to make circumcisions now. And Joshua made him sharp knives and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. Dang, that sounds kind of weird. I'm just thinking a whole hill full of foreskins. I guess that was a hill where they was gonna start circumcising folks or something like that, or they probably call it that because Joshua circumcised them here. Verse 4, it says, and this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise. So this is why Joshua circumcising them before anything else, right? All the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. So pretty much everyone who was 20 and up and they didn't hearken to the voice of the Lord, they died in the wilderness. And whoever was younger than that, they were able to walk into the land. So with the first half of the nation cut off, the rest of them, they were young, so like they kind of grew up and didn't really, the circumcision wasn't really a thought. They were just wandering through the wilderness, right? It says all the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. Now, all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way as they came out forth of Egypt, them they had not circumcised. So whoever was born in the wilderness, they didn't get circumcised. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness till all the people that were men of war which came out of Egypt were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord, unto whom the Lord swore that he would not show them the land. So the Lord swore to these folks, hey, y'all ain't gonna see the land, right? Which the Lord swore unto our fathers that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey. And their children, whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised. So he cut off the first half of Israel, but he allowed their children to see the land and brought them to the land. So the children of the ones that got cut off, they didn't get circumcised. So the Lord got Joshua circumcising them when they get into the land, right? Because they had not circumcised them by the way. Oh dang, I just read verse 7. We have verse 8 now. It says, and it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole. So after they got circumcised, they waited a little bit till everybody got healed up. And the Lord said unto Joshua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt off you. Wherefore the name of this place is called Gilgal unto this day. Let me look up the name Gilgal, because usually those names have meanings, and what he said here was, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt off you. So that's why it's called Gilgal. So we're gonna see what it means. The Hebrew term Gilgal most likely means circle of stones. Yeah. Okay, so rolled away. Okay, so that's why it's called Gilgal, because he rolled away the reproach of Egypt, right? So that's why it's called Gilgal, because it was rolled away. Man, I thought I closed out the Bible. All right, so verse 10, right? It says, and the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover in the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho. And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the self same day. So now they celebrating the Passover, and they celebrated the Feast of Unleavened Bread pretty much right off the bat of getting into the land, right? It says that they did eat of the old corn of the land. So the corn that was already growing in the land, they used that for the Passover and for unleavened bread. Verse 12, and the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither neither had the children of Israel manna any more. But they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. So now that they got up in the land, the manna that's been raining down for them for 40 years, that's done because y'all are in the land now, so y'all can eat the fruit of the land, right? So like the day after they ate the old corn of the land, hey, he stopped giving them manna because hey, now he's providing them fruit. Verse 13 it says, and it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there was a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, art thou for us or for our adversaries? And he said, nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship, and said unto him, what saith my Lord unto his servant? And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, loose thy shoe from thy foot, for the place where thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. So now, after the Passover and all that, now Joshua is looking up, and he sees a man with his sword drawn, and he's like, okay, so are you with us or are you with the enemies? And dude said, hey, I'm captain of the Lord's army for real. And he said, loose thy shoe from thy foot, for the place where thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. So the way I'm looking at this, honestly, I'm thinking that this is an angel. Because like usually when somebody say, hey, this is some holy ground, it's usually an angel coming to bring that message. So I'm thinking that this is an angel, but I ain't gonna put it on there because I can't read that right here. So I'm just gonna keep saying captain of the Lord's host or this man, just just so it can't be misconstrued. So we're gonna go into chapter 6 real quick. Ah ha ha. All right, chapter 6. It says, now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. So Jericho, it was a walled city, right? And everybody was scared in Jericho, so nobody went out the walls, nobody came in the walls, right? Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, none came in. And the Lord said unto Joshua, see, I have given into thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. And the priests and 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with the trumpets. So now the Lord is telling Joshua, look, I've given you this city. You're gonna take down the city, you're gonna take down the king, and all the mighty men of valor. So now the Lord's giving him directions, right? These are his instructions. And you shall compass the city. So you're gonna go around the city, right? All you men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. So 6 days, we gonna walk around the city of Jericho one time, right? And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow with the trumpets. So 6 days y'all are gonna compass the city once, but on the 7th day you're gonna compass it 7 times, and the priests are gonna blow the trumpets. At verse 5, and it shall come to pass, when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him. So now he's saying, on this last day, when they blow that trumpet, right? when they hear the sound of the trumpet, that all the people will shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down. So once on the seventh day, when these priests blow that trumpet, hey, everybody just scream. That's it, just scream, and the wall's gonna go down. It says, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him. Verse 6. And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests, and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. So now Joshua was pretty much giving the priests the directions that he gave, that the Lord gave him, right? So Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let the priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. And he said unto the people, Pass on and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. And it shall come to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord. So you got the priests, then you got the ark of the Lord, and then you got the rest, everybody following them, right? So, and it came to, starting to verse 8 again, and it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them, right? Verse 9, and the armed men went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark. We're gonna look up reward. The reward is kind of just like the rest of the army, like the troops in the rear of an army on the march. So that's the reward. So you got the priests with the trumpets, you got the ark of God, and you got the reward back here, right? So you got the ark of God sandwiched in the middle. Where was I? Verse 9. And the armed men went before the priests that blew the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And Joshua had commanded the people, saying, You shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth, until the day I bid you shout. Then ye shall shout. Then shall ye shout. So now Joshua is telling the people, like, okay, so when we go about this city, right? I don't want y'all to speak. I don't want y'all to make any noise. Don't shout. Don't make any noise with your voice. Neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout. Then you shall shout. So these 6 days, look, don't say nothing. Keep your mouth shut. And when I tell you to shout, shout. So the ark of the Lord compassed the city, going about it once. And they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. So now they went around the city once and they did back to their camp, right? Like, that's just weird though. Like, just think about, hold up. Let's reimagine CGI. But we looking up Ba Sing Se, right? It's the city of Ba Sing Se from Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? And I'm using this as an example, so we can truly get a visual, right? So pretty much he pretty much said, look, walk around the city once. So going back to verse 11, so the ark of God compassed the city. So they went around the city, they walked around the city once, and they came to the camp and lodged in the camp, and then they just left. Imagine you got the scouts up here in Ba Sing Se, and you just see an army of folks just walk around the camp and leave. They ain't said nothing. They just walked around. They just walked around and left. And they did this for 6 days, 7 technically. They walked around the city and just left, right? So going back to the book, going to verse 12, it says, and Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. And 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns went before the ark of the Lord. Dang. Let me start that over. Verse 13. And 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually, and blew with the trumpets. And the armed men went before them. But the reward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. So now you see it going on again. It's the same setup, right? And the second day they compassed the city once and returned to the camp. So they did 6 days. So again, just imagine. You just see a gang of folks just, hey, we walking up to the city. We ain't gonna go in the city. We ain't even gonna say nothing to the people watching the gate. We're just gonna walk around the city. We walk around, we go home. Next day, we walk around, we go home. We ain't said nothing. Third day, walk around, go home. 4th day, 5th day, 6th day, right? So now let's go to verse 15. Verse 15, and it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day. So now they're getting up at the crack of dawn, right? And they passed the city after the same manner 7 times. So now they gotta walk around this. It's the 7th day, so they gotta walk around the city 7 times, right? And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priest blew the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. So now they about to shout. And he said, what? Because the Lord hath given you the city. So it's like when the Lord gives you something, you can't take that away, not from anybody. Like nobody can take that away from you. If the Lord gives you something, can't nobody take that. And that's the power of the Lord right there. That's gracious, honestly. If the Lord just give you something, hey, can't nobody take that from you except God himself. So he said, shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. Verse 17, and the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And we read about that back in Joshua chapter 2, right? Because Joshua sent the spies out to Jericho, and they came to Rahab the harlot, and Rahab the harlot helped them out. So they made a league with her. She was like, look, since I helped y'all, help me out. When y'all come take this city, make sure me and my family's safe. So now you see that coming to pass. He said, and the city shall be accursed, and all that are therein. This is Joshua talking to the army. It says, only Rahab the harlot shall live, and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers we sent. And ye, in any wise, keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest you make yourselves accursed, when you take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel a curse, and trouble it. So now we're talking about cursed items. Hold up. We're going to double back to Deuteronomy 7 real quick, because they had a little precept right here. Maybe that can bring us more insight to these accursed things. Deuteronomy 7 is telling me to go to 26. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Oh, okay. So now we got a little more insight on that. He said, oh, actually no, let's start at verse 25. Deuteronomy 7. So this is really gonna take us into these accursed objects, right? So Deuteronomy 7, starting at verse 25, it says, "The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them." So when you see like graven images of actually, hold up. We gonna actually start off at 22, right? Because this is really getting into Israel starting to conquer these nations. So I'm trying to find a good place to really start this off at, right? So we could start this off at 22, right? It says, "And the Lord thy God will put out those nations before thee, little by little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee." So the Lord's pretty much promising Israel through Moses, right? Because this is in the time of Moses. This is the book of Deuteronomy right here. And he says that the Lord is about to put out these nations that inhabit the land, that inhabit the promised land, right? And he says he's gonna put them out little by little, that they aren't consumed at once. Because if everybody's just wiped out at once, then that's gonna leave room for the beasts of the field to come and take up the land, right? So it says, "But the Lord thy God shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed," right? "And he shall deliver their kings into thine hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. There shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them," right? So y'all gonna take out these nations, and the Lord is gonna deliver their kings into your hand, and you're going to destroy them, right? And no man is going to be able to stand before you. This is what the Lord's telling Israel through the mouth of Moses, right? He says, "The graven images of their gods ye shall burn with fire. Ye shall not desire the silver or gold that is on them." So when you get into these nations, right, that you're about to conquer, the graven images of their gods ye shall burn with fire, and you shall not desire the silver nor gold that is on them. So don't desire their graven images, and don't even take the silver or gold that's on them. Like you find a nice statue and it's plated with gold. Hey, don't take a chisel and try to chip the gold off of it, thinking you're gonna sell it and get a nice little profit. Nah, throw that away. It says, "Nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein. For what? For it is an abomination unto the Lord thy God." Verse 26, "Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house." Still talking about these graven images of these other nations, right? "Lest thou be a cursed thing like it." Oh, so don't bring it into your house, or it's going to curse you. "But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing," right? So now that we got more understanding on them cursed things, cursed objects, let's go back to Joshua chapter 6 and continue on. Joshua chapter 6, and we're going to start it at 17. "And the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing," right? These graven images, "lest ye make yourselves accursed, when ye take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel accursed, and trouble it." And we seen that, he said not to bring any abomination into your house, or else you're gonna be cursed just like just like the cursed item, right? Verse 19, it says, "But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord." So we ain't taking those graven images, but hey, anything that any vessels of gold, silver, brass, iron, hey, you can bring them on. We're gonna put them in the Lord's treasury. So the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. So now, when the priest blew the trumpet, the people heard it and they shouted, and the wall just collapsed, right? And since the wall collapsed, they got access into the city now, right? And it says, and they utterly destroyed. Verse 21. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep and ass, with the edge of the sword. But Joshua had said unto the two men that had spied out the country, "Go into the harlot's house, and bring out thence the woman and all that she hath, and as ye swear unto her." And the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had, and they brought out all her kindred and left them without the camp of Israel. So Joshua sent the two spies that previously spied out Jericho, and he was like, "Look, go get Rahab and all her family," and they, took her and let her stay outside the camp of Israel, at least until all the war that was going on is finished, right? Verse 24. And they burnt the city with fire, and they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and of iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. So Joshua did save Rahab, and Rahab was actually allowed to stay in Israel after all that. So to anyone that doesn't think that strangers can be a part of this covenant with the Lord, nah, that ain't true, because Rahab recognized that the God of Israel was the one true God, and she blessed Israel, right? Like, um I know the Lord told either Abraham or Jacob that whoever blesses thee, shall be blessed, and he's gonna curse whoever curses Israel, right? And Rahab blessed them. She helped them escape. Well, she didn't help them escape, but she helped them spy out the land, and she didn't tell him, tell the king to him, telling them to the king, I mean. But verse 26, and Joshua adjured them at that time, saying, "Cursed be the man before the Lord that riseth up and buildeth this city Jericho." So now it's like, oh, so if y'all try to rebuild this city, you're going to be cursed. "He shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it." Mm. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. So now once Jericho fell, everybody heard about it. All the surrounding cities, they heard about it. Now we're going to get into chapter 7. All right. So chapter 7, verse 1. "But the children of Israel committed a trespass and the accursed thing. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel. And we had just seen prior to this in verse 18 of chapter 6, he said, "And ye in any wise keep yourself from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed when ye take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel a curse, and thou trouble it." Right? And somebody didn't listen, right? The Lord called Israel a hard-headed, stiff-necked people, right? Well, we see that in Achan, right? It's one bad egg, right? It says, "But the children of Israel committed a trespass in the accursed thing." And it wasn't just all the children of Israel, it was really just this one person, right? But he screwed it up for everybody. It says, "For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel." Right? And Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Beth Aven, on the east side of Bethel, and spake unto them, saying, "Go up and view the country." And the men went up and viewed Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said unto him, "Let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but a few." So the spies came back and told Joshua, "Look, let's not send everybody down there. Let's get about 2,000 or 3,000 folks, and and that'll be enough for us to go take down Ai. But let's not bring everybody, because we don't really have a whole lot of people like that, right?" Or the men of Ai at least aren't a lot of people, right? He says, "But let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but a few." So there went up thither of the people about 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai. Wait, hold up. I thought we seen um I thought we seen that in verse 3 of chapter 1, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, right? So now you got the children of Israel trying to fight Ai, but they running before Ai, right? And verse 5, it says, "And the men of Ai smote of them about 36 men, and they chased them from before the gate even into Shebarim, and smote them in the going down. Wherefore the hearts of the people melted and became as water." So now Israel shook because Ai is prevailing against them, right? But why is that? It's because of the accursed thing that Achan took. Verse 6, "And Joshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of the Lord until the eventide, and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. And Joshua said, Alas, Lord God, wherefore hast thou brought all this people over Jordan, to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us? Would to God we have been content and dwelt on the other side of Jordan." So now Joshua, he's confused. He's like, "Lord, I thought you gave us this land. So why are you letting these folks prevail against us?" So he's sitting there praying, and he's I'm like, "Did you bring us over the Jordan to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites so we can be destroyed?" And verse 8, "O Lord, what shall I say when Israel turneth their backs before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, and shall environ us round, and cut off our name from the earth. And what will I do unto thy great name?" So now Joshua's like, what's Israel gonna do? Well, what can I say when Israel is running before their enemies? Then the Canaanites that are still in this land, they don't hear about it, and they'll get in league with each other and surround us and cut us off. And then what will you do unto thy great name? Verse 10, it says, "And the Lord said unto Joshua, Get thee up. Wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face?" So the Lord's like, "Man, get up. Why are you lying on your face?" And verse 11, he said, Israel has sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant, which I have commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. So now we're getting into the meat, the reason why the Lord is allowing these Canaanites to prevail over Israel, because again, they've committed trespass and they took of the accursed thing, which is these graven images of these these nations that they taken over. And somebody got one of these graven images and put it among their own stuff. They hid it and kept it. Verse 12, it says, and the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies, because they were accursed. Right? Neither will I be with you anymore, except you destroy the accursed from among you. So the Lord is like just like it said in Deuteronomy 7, right? Where is it? He said, the graven images of their gods ye shall burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. So now you brought a cursed thing into your house, and you're about to be cursed just like the cursed thing, right? So that's why Israel can't prevail over Ai now, because they're cursed. He done brought it into the house of Israel. So now the whole house of Israel is cursed. So the Lord said, look, I'm not even going to be with you anymore, except you destroy the accursed thing from among you. Verse 13, it says, up, sanctify the people, and say, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, there is an accursed thing in the midst of thee, O Israel. Thou canst not stand before thine enemies until thou take away the accursed thing from you. So he's like, look, you can't even stand against your enemies until you take out that graven image from among you, that accursed thing. Verse 14, it says, in the morning, therefore, ye shall be brought according to your tribes. And it shall be that the tribe which the Lord taketh shall come according to the families thereof. And the family which the Lord shall take shall come by households, and the household which the Lord shall take shall come man by man. And it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire, he and all that he hath, because he hath transgressed the covenant of the Lord, because he hath wrought folly in Israel. So now the Lord's pretty much telling Israel through the mouth of Joshua, look, tomorrow I'm gonna pretty much choose one of these tribes, whichever tribe I pick, I'm gonna pick one of these tribes, and then y'all are gonna come up by your families, right? And then whichever family I pick, y'all are gonna come up by y'all households, and whichever household I pick, y'all, each person in that household comes up one by one, and we're gonna get to the bottom of who has this accursed thing, right? So verse 16, it says, so Joshua rose up early in the morning and brought Israel by their tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. And he brought the family of Judah and took the family of the Zarhites, and he brought the family of the Zarhites man by man, and Zabdi was taken. And he brought his household man by man, and Achan the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, was taken. And Joshua said unto Achan, my son, give, I pray thee, glory to the Lord God of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what thou hast done, hide it not from me. So Joshua's talking to Achan. He's like, look, don't lie to me, bro. Like, tell me what you've done. And verse 20, Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against the Lord God of Israel, and thus have I done. When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold, and 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them and took them, and behold, They are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. So now Achan's pretty much confessing what he did. He said, when I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels of weight, he took them and hid them under his tent. So verse 22, so Joshua sent messengers, and they ran into the tent, and behold, it was hid in his tent, and the silver under it. And they took them out, out of the midst of the tent, and brought them unto Joshua and unto all the children of Israel, and laid them out before the Lord. Verse 24, and Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan the son of Zerah, the silver and the garment, and the wedge of gold, and his sons and his daughters, and his oxen and his asses, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them unto the valley of Achor. And Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? The Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones, and burned them with fire, after they had stoned them with stones. Dang. And they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So the Lord returned from the fierceness of his anger. Wherefore, the name of that place is called the Valley of Achor unto this day. Dang. So now we're starting to see that wait, hold up. Let's go back to that overview that we was looking at earlier, because we want to see the main message of this book of Joshua, right? Will you hurry up? Come on, man. Alright, so going back to Joshua. Alright, so the key verse was Joshua 1 and 7, right? Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand nor to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. And we've been seeing that Israel's been catching W's, honestly, at least with the crossing over Jordan and the fall of Jericho, right? But now you got one person that's not following the law, and it screws it up for the whole nation, right? Like Achan was just one person that took an accursed thing, but that made them not even prevail over Ai, right? So now we're starting to see like yeah, the Lord is gonna be with you, but we still gotta do what he says. We gotta be obedient, right? So now let's get into chapter 8. And this will be the last chapter for the night. Alright, so chapter 8, verse 1. It says, and the Lord said unto Joshua, fear not, neither be thou dismayed. Take all the people of war with thee, and arise, go up to Ai. So now we're going back to Ai, right? See, I have given into thy hand the king of Ai, and his people, and his city, and his land. So once they got rid of Achan, now Israel can prevail against Ai again. So verse 2, and thou shalt do to Ai and her king as thou didst unto Jericho and her king. Only the spoil thereof and the cattle thereof ye shall take for a prey unto yourselves. Lay thee an ambush of the city, for the city behind it. So the Lord's like, just like you did at Jericho, not with the walking around, but slaying everybody pretty much. Like, kill everybody, but only the spoil thereof and the cattle you shall take unto yourselves, right? lay thee an ambush for the city behind it, right? So all right, I guess we just use this for right now. Oh, well, that's a very small picture. I didn't expect it to be that small, but I just like having reference points. Bet. Okay. So we got AI here, right? And he said to set an ambush for the city behind it. So now they behind the city. This is the ambush behind the city, right? So going into verse 3. So Joshua arose and all the people of war to go up against Ai, and Joshua chose out 30,000 mighty men of valor and sent them away by night. So now he got 30,000 folks and sent them away at night so nobody could see him, right? This is the ambush squad, right? And he commanded them, saying, Behold, ye shall lie in wait against the city, and even behind the city. Go not very far from the city, but be all ready, right? So he sent them away by night, and this is pretty much where they hid, right? And I and all the people that are with me will approach unto the city. So now you got Joshua and his group coming from like the front of the city, right? Let's keep going. And you still got the ambush squad in the back. So it says, and I and all the people that are with me will approach unto the city, and it shall come to pass when they come out against us as at the first, that we will flee before them. So when we go into Ai and they see us, they gonna chase us and we gonna run, right? Verse 6, for they will come out after us till we have drawn them from the city. For they will say, they flee before us as at the first. Therefore will we flee will therefore we will flee before them. So Joshua's pretty much saying like AI is gonna come out after us because they already prevailed against us the first time and we ran away from them, right? So AI is pretty much, they gonna be feeling themselves, right? Being like, man, we could take these folks again. So he says, and I and all the people that are with me will approach unto the city, and it shall come to pass when they come out against us as at the first, that we will flee before them, for they will come out after us, till we have drawn them from the city. For they will say, they flee before us is at the first. So just like the first time they came here, they're fleeing, they're running from us again, right? Therefore will we flee before them. Verse 7, then shall ye rise up from the ambush and seize upon the city, for the Lord your God will deliver into your hand. So as Joshua and his squads running away from Ai, right? You got the ambush squad coming from the back and taking up the city. Verse 8, and it shall be when ye have taken the city, that ye shall set the city on fire, according to the commandment of the Lord shall ye do. See, I have commanded you. So once Ai is chasing Joshua's squad, the ambush squad comes in and sets the city on fire. Right? Verse 9. Joshua therefore sent them forth, and they went to lie in ambush and abode between Bethel and Ai on the west side of Ai. But Joshua lodged that night among the people. And Joshua rose up early in the morning and numbered the people and went up, and he and the elders of Israel before the people to Ai. And all the people, even the people of war that were with him, went up and drew nigh and came before the city and pitched toward the north side of Ai. Now there was a valley between them and Ai. And he took about 5,000 men and set them to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai. Dang. On the west side of the city. Verse 13. And when they had set the people, even all the host that was on the north of the city, and all their liars in wait on the west of the city, Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley. And it came to pass, when the king of Ai saw it, that they hasted and rose up early, and the men of the city went out against Israel to battle. So now you got Ai, they start about to come out against Israel, he and all his people, at a time appointed before the plain. But he wist not that there were liars in ambush against him behind the city. So the king of Ai didn't know that Joshua had an ambush prepared behind the city. So verse 15, it says, and Joshua and all Israel made as if they were beaten before them, and fled by the way of the wilderness. So now Joshua and them, they're pretty much acting scared and running, right? And all the people that were in Ai were called together to pursue after them. And they pursued after Joshua, and were drawn away from the city. And there was not a man left in Ai or Bethel that went not out after Israel. And they left the city open, and pursued after Israel. And the Lord said unto Joshua, stretch out the spear that is in thy hand toward Ai, for I will give it into thine hand. And Joshua stretched out the spear that he had in his hand toward the city. And the ambush arose quickly out of their place, and they ran as soon as he had stretched out his hand. And they entered into the city, and took it, and hasted, and set the city on fire. Right? Verse 20. And when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended up to heaven. So now the men of Ai, they chasing Israel, then they turn around and see their whole city on fire. Like, imagine that. Just imagine they just went out to fight to protect their city, and they turn around and the whole city's destroyed. like when the Lord want to do something, he will make ways to do it. Even if folks gotta act scared and stuff like that, like, he will make ways to do it. But in verse 20 it says, and when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended up to heaven, and they had no power to flee this way. Excuse me. And they had no power to flee this way or that way, and the people that fled into the wilderness turned back upon the pursuers. Verse 21, and when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city, and that the smoke of the city ascended, they turned again and slew the men of Ai. So once they saw that the fire started, they killed the men of Ai. And the other issued out of the city against them. So they were in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side, and they smote them, so that they let none of them remain or escape. So now the men of Ai are sandwiched in between the first camp of Israel and the second camp of Israel, right? So they can't escape. And the king of Ai they took alive, and brought him to Joshua. And it came to pass, when Israel made an end of slaying all the inhabitants of Ai in the field, in the wilderness wherein they chased them, and when they were fallen on the edge of the sword until they were consumed, that all the Israelites returned unto Ai, and smote it with the edge of the sword. And so it was, that all that fell that day, both of men and women, were 12,000, even all the men of Ai. For Joshua drew not his hand back wherewith he stretched out the spear, until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. So now Israel, they slaying the men of Ai, right? He said, and when they were fallen on the edge of the sword until they were consumed, that all the Israelites returned to Ai and smote it with the edge of the sword. And 12,000 people fell, at least. Now going into verse 26. And Joshua drew not his hand back wherewith he stretched out the spear, because the Lord told him to stretch out the spear right before the ambush squad attacked. That was like the signal, right? And once he did that, he didn't take his hand back until Ai was destroyed. Only the cattle and the spoil of that city Israel took for a prey unto themselves, according to the word of the Lord which he commanded Joshua. Verse 28. And Joshua burnt Ai and made it a heap forever, even a desolation unto this day. And the king of Ai he hanged on a tree until eventide. So Joshua took the king out and hung him on a tree. Dang. And as soon as the sun was down, Joshua commanded that they take his carcass down from the tree and cast it at the entering in of the gate of the city, and raised thereon a great heap of stones that remaineth unto this day. So Joshua pretty much took him off and put him at the gate, put the grave of this man at the gate of the city. That's hardcore. For real. He said, and cast it at the entering of the gate of the city, and raised thereon a great heap of stones that remaineth unto this day. So yeah, he put his grave pretty much at the entrance of the city, like, hey, here lies the previous king of Ai. Whew. Then Joshua built an altar unto the Lord of Israel in Mount Ebal, as Moses the servant of the Lord commanded the children of Israel, as it is written in the book, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses. Forgive me, y'all. I gotta learn how to slow my speech down sometimes. An altar of whole stones, over which no man hath lift up any iron, and they offered thereon burnt offerings unto the Lord, and sacrificed peace offerings. So now Joshua's building an altar to the Lord so they can make some sacrifices, because hey, they caught a W this time. And all Israel and their elders and officers and their judges stood on this side of the ark and on that side before the priests, the Levites, which bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, as well the stranger, as he was born among them. Oh wait, hold up. Let me read that again. It says, and all Israel and their elders and officers and their judges stood on this side of the ark and on that side before the priests, the Levites, which bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, as well the stranger as he that was born among them, half of them over against Mount Gerizim, and half of them over against Mount Ebal, as Moses the servant of the Lord had commanded before, that they should bless the people of Israel. And afterward he read all the words of the law, the blessings and the curses, according to all that is written in the book of the law. And there was not a word that Moses of all that Moses commanded which Joshua read not before all the congregation of Israel, with women and the little ones and the strangers that were conversing among them. So now once they have this victory over Ai, now Joshua's pretty much they sacrifice to the Lord, and now I don't even think I read verse 32. It says, and he wrote thereupon the stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Israel. So he wrote down the law, right? A copy of the law. And then pretty much Joshua pretty much told the whole law to the people once they inhabited Ai, you know. So once they came into this land, now Joshua was refreshing them. Like, here's the law. This is how you're supposed to act in this land, right? Pretty much reiterating it to them. But that's it on that, y'all. And next day or two, Lord willing, we gonna get into chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then we can go on to Joshua allotting the land to the children of Israel. So let's go to Ecclesiastes Chapter 12 real quick, and so we can read out this closing scripture. Although I pretty much know it by heart, I still like to read it. It says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. And as I like to leave y'all with, one man plants, another man waters, but it's the Lord that gives the increase. And I thank y'all for y'all time. Peace.